You wake up at 5:52 a.m. Your account shows $143.07. Rent is due in 6 days. This is not a crisis. This is Tuesday. You have a job. You have a degree. You did everything right. And still, every month, the number resets. Back to zero. Sometimes below it. You are not failing. You are functioning exactly as the system intended. Your gross income is $47,300 per year. That sounds like a number that works. It does not work. Federal taxes take $5,676. The state takes another $1,892. FICA pulls $3,618 before you see a single dollar. What lands in your account is $36,114 per year, $3,009 per month. Your rent is $1,347. That leaves $1,662 for everything else. Food, transportation, insurance, phone, utilities, student loan, minimum of $287. You are now at $1,375. You have not eaten yet this week. You have not filled your tank. You have saved nothing. The math is not hard to follow. It is hard to escape. You tell yourself it is temporary. You tell yourself next year will be different. You have been saying that since 2021. What you do not see yet is that the gap between your income and your expenses was not an accident. It was engineered, calibrated, maintained. The system does not want you destitute. A destitute person is not useful. It wants you to be functional, employed, spending, slightly behind, always almost there. That distance, the almost, is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. But here is what they never taught you. Wealth is not built by earning more. It is built by accessing systems that most people do not know exist. The wealthy do not save harder. They do not grind longer. They plug into a different architecture, one built on leverage, legal structure, and compounding time. You were taught to trade hours for dollars. They were taught to make money while they sleep. That is not a motivational contrast. It is a structural one. The tools exist. The access is the barrier, and the barrier was placed there deliberately. What you did not know was that the first step out is not a raise. It is understanding what level you are actually on. At level 0, your only asset is your time. You sell 40 hours a week, sometimes 50. The rate is fixed. The ceiling is visible. You call it a salary. The system calls it a controlled variable. Your employer knows exactly what you cost. They have modeled your productivity. Your replacement cost runs approximately $8,400 in recruiting and onboarding. That number makes you valuable enough to keep, not valuable enough to pay more. You open a savings account. The interest rate is 0.46%. Inflation this year is running at 3.1%. Every dollar you save loses purchasing power while it sits. You're moving backward while standing still. The bank, meanwhile, lends your deposit out at 7.9% on personal loans. They keep the spread. You keep the feeling of responsibility. Your credit score is 661. Not bad. Not good. At 661, you qualify for a car loan at 9.7% interest. A borrower at 780 gets 4.1%. Over a 60-month loan on a $26,000 vehicle, that difference costs you $4,312. You pay more because you have less. That is not ironic. That is policy. The first rule of level 0, the system charges you for being poor. Every fee, every rate, every penalty is steeper at the bottom. The price of poverty is paid by the poor. At level 0, you do not know what you do not know. The levels above you are not hidden because they are secret. They are hidden because you have never been given a reason to look up. Something shifts. It does not feel dramatic. You read something. A number catches your eye. A coworker mentions a Roth IRA. You open one. You contribute $47 per month because that is what you can manage. It feels like nothing. Over 31 years, at a 7.4% average annual return, that $47 becomes $67,843. You did not earn that money. Time earned it. You just held the account open. This is the first crack in the architecture. Not a break, a crack. You learn what compound interest actually means, not the textbook version. The real version? A single $5,000 deposit at age 24, left untouched at 8% annual return, becomes $79,318 by age 67. The same $5,000 deposited at age 34 becomes $36,706. 10 years costs you $42,612. That loss is invisible. It happened in a future you never saw. Nobody told you that delay has a price tag. Nobody told you that the price is higher than almost any mistake you will make. You start reading about tax-advantaged accounts. The 401k match your employer offers equals $1,840 per year in free compensation. You were not enrolled. You did not know you had to opt in. You have worked there for 3 years. That is $5,520 that does not exist because a form was never explained to you. What you did not know was that the complexity was intentional. A simple system is a navigable system. Complexity creates dropout. Dropout creates unclaimed benefits. Unclaimed benefits stay in the system. This is not a conspiracy. This is design. The rule of level 1. Knowledge you were never given still had a cost. You paid it without knowing. You are 31 now. Your income has moved to $61,400. Not because the system rewarded you, because you moved. Different companies, different title, same industry. The raise your previous employer offered after 4 years of strong reviews was $2,100. The raise you got by leaving was $9,800. The system does not reward loyalty. It rewards mobility. You learn that the hard way. You buy a property, $224,000, 3% down. Your mortgage payment is $1,461 per month. Your old rent was $1,347. You pay $114 more per month and own an appreciating asset. Your tenant, the other unit in the duplex, pays $1,190 per month. Your effective housing cost is now $271. You have not become wealthy. You have accessed leverage. The bank's money is building your equity. That is a different thing than saving. Your net worth at this level is $31,600, mostly equity, some retirement accounts, almost no liquid cash. You are asset-rich and cash-fragile. One $4,000 emergency, a transmission, a hospital visit, a broken furnace puts you back to level 0. The system knows this. It is why high-yield savings accounts exist, not for the wealthy, for people like you who need a moat between solvency and catastrophe. You open a high-yield savings account at 4.087% APY. You move $3,200 into it. It earns $155.84 in its first year. Not life-changing, structurally significant. You are no longer bleeding out through inflation. You are, for the first time, holding ground. The rule of level 2. Leverage is the first legal tool the system never teaches in school. Not because it is complicated, because a leveraged population is harder to keep stationary. You are 36. Your income is $84,200. You have started to see the structure. Not all of it, enough. You notice that the people above you are not smarter. They are not working harder. They are operating inside a different set of rules. Rules that were always there. Rules you were never handed. You learn what a Schedule C is. You start a side business. Consulting. 9 clients in the first year. Revenue of $31,740. You run $14,200 of legitimate expenses through it. A portion of your home office, your phone, software, mileage, travel to a conference. These are not loopholes. They are written into the tax code. They exist because the code was written by people who own businesses. For people who own businesses, your employer has been using them for decades. You did not know you could, too. Your effective tax rate drops from 23.4% to 17%. That is $5,296 that does not go to the federal government this year. It stays with you. You did not cheat. You learned to read the architecture the way it was meant to be read, by the people it was built for. You open a SEP IRA for the business. You contribute $7,935, 25% of net self-employment income. That amount is fully deductible. Your taxable income shrinks again. The contribution grows tax-deferred. You are now funding a second retirement account on top of your 401k. 2 engines, both legal, both invisible to anyone still at level 0. Your net worth crosses $100,000 for the first time. Not celebrated. Noted. You understand now that the first 100,000 is the hardest. Not because the math is harder, because you are doing it without infrastructure. Every level above this gets structurally easier. Not emotionally easy, structurally. The rule of level 3. The tax code is not a burden distributed equally. It is a manual written for owners. Employees pay full price. Owners negotiate at the counter. You are 41. Net worth is $287,000. Your consulting business grosses $103,000 this year. You have 2 employees. A small portfolio. A duplex that has appreciated $61,400 since purchase. On paper, you are doing well. Inside the architecture, you are mid-climb. And mid-climb is where most people stop. Not because they fail, because the cost of the next level becomes visible, and it is higher than they expected. You meet a tax strategist, not an accountant, a strategist. There is a difference. The accountant files what happened. The strategist structures what will happen. Her fee is $4,800 per year. Every person you know calls that expensive. She saves you $19,340 in the first 12 months through entity restructuring alone. You convert the consulting business to an S-corp. You pay yourself a reasonable salary of $52,000. The remaining profit, $41,000, passes through without triggering self-employment tax. That tax is 15.3%. On $41,000, that is $6,273 you no longer owe. Annually, every year, forever, as long as the structure holds. You refinance the duplex. Pull $48,000 in equity out as a cash-out refinance. That money is not income. It is debt. It is not taxed. You use $31,000 of it to purchase a second rental unit. The rest sits in reserves. You now have 2 properties generating income, both mortgaged with other people's money, both appreciating in markets you researched for 11 months before moving. What you did not know at level 0 is that debt, in the hands of someone with the right structure, is not a trap. It is a tool. The same instrument that kept you behind, 661 credit is now the instrument moving you forward at 791. Same tool, different levels, different outcome. The cost of this level is not money. It is the people you lose, friends who call you lucky, the family who calls you changed. A language develops around you that they do not speak. You did not choose that. It arrived with the knowledge. The rule of level 4. Every level of financial architecture requires a toll. At this level, the toll is social. You pay it whether you want to or not. You are 47. Net worth is $1,100,000. You crossed it quietly on a Tuesday. The same way you used to wake up to $143.07. The number changed. Tuesday did not. At this level, the system becomes legible, fully. You can see it the way a builder sees a house. Not the paint and furniture, but the load-bearing walls. You understand now that the economy was never designed to lift everyone. It was designed to maintain a functional base. Enough workers, enough consumers, enough debt, while concentrating mobility inside a structure that rewards those who can read it. You attend a dinner. 14 people, a developer, 2 fund managers, a commercial real estate attorney, a woman who owns a logistics company doing $14 million in annual revenue. Nobody at this table built their wealth on salary alone. Nobody. Salary is the entry ticket. The real game starts when you stop selling time. You are offered a position as a limited partner in a real estate syndication. Minimum investment, $50,000. Projected annual return, 8.1%. You're looking at $4,050 per year, passively from a single position. You remember the $47 monthly Roth contribution from 16 years ago. You remember thinking it felt like nothing. You understand now that every level felt like nothing when you were in it. The compounding was always invisible until it was not. You also understand what this level costs the person who never finds it. The person is still at level 0, working 51 hours a week, paying 23.4% in taxes, saving at 0.46% interest, paying the poverty premium on every loan. They are not there because they failed. They are there because the architecture was never explained to them, and the architecture prefers them there. A consuming, employed, slightly behind population is the system's preferred state. Enough desperation to work, not enough clarity to stop. The final rule: the economy does not punish the ignorant. It simply never corrects them. It lets the misunderstanding run. Quietly, indefinitely. You wake up at 5:52 a.m. The account does not say $143.07 anymore. It says something different now. But you remember the Tuesday it did not. You remember the weight of a number that reset every month. You remember thinking you were failing. You were not failing. You were operating inside a system that was calibrated to hold you exactly there, functional, spending, slightly behind. The system did not change. You learned to read it. Most people never will, not because they cannot, because nobody hands them the manual, and the people who have it are not giving it away. The house was always open. The door was never labeled.